Yo, what is good, everyone? I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. I was doing the usual party. You can check out some of the pictures on my Twitter. That's in the description. Other than that, I had a great trading like last week. I hope that all went the same for you guys. I got a lot of stuff in this video to show you. I am pretty sure you guys are going to be satisfied with what I have to show you, especially the oil part. You do not want to miss out on that. You'll see what I'm talking about. So we're just going to get right into it. Make sure to show the video some love, give it a like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So to start off, Bitcoin. So as I've been saying, this thing really isn't going anywhere for a while. I showed you in my last video, the inflows coming in from institutions and retail. It is literally flatlining right now. So if something wants to move, it needs volume to move. So Bitcoin has like very little volume. So I'm not sure how this thing's gonna be able to make any moves to the upside, which is, we're dropping pretty hard here. I think we do need some kind of a move up, but I think it's gonna be a while. So these are the trend lines to be watching here. There's not really any reason to be interested in Bitcoin, at least right now, looking for upside, major upside, just because first off, there's a lot of resistances right here, especially these three trend lines. And then you got some horizontal resistances, like, definitely right around here. So you need to break a lot of levels here if you want to see any kind of decent move to the upside. So there's not too much for Bitcoin, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. But we're just going to get right into oil. So for oil here, so if you're in the Discord, I'm going to show you something from in there. So from last week, this was the path I was looking for oil to follow. I shorted at that third touch of the trend line here, and I saw some divergences, and that's where we took that short. And what has happened so far? You've gotten that ABC move down to my targets, which I haven't changed any of this. So that's what's been happening, and we went long in the Discord today at right on this candle. So I was kind of averaging into a position. I'm in shares and futures, up about 700 right now in futures, and I don't know how much in shares, but regardless, I'm just going to show you guys how I've really pinpointed that entry so that you guys can use this for your knowledge in future trading. So I knew it was coming down to either 78.50 and probably 77.30ish. Just, this is kind of a psychological level, the 61.8% retracement, as well as once I saw these waves develop right here, you can find that target for the following wave by drawing your fib extension, and that gives you these targets here. So like to hit the point, or the 100% extension. Now I thought it was going to go deeper because I hadn't hit this target or this target yet. So at the minimum, I was also looking for this. I knew this area needed to get tested for liquidity. You can see it's kind of like it's a region that we squeezed through. There is no volume. I think I'm just going to show you this so you can kind of like understand it. So not even drawing down to where it went to, there's going to be a volume gap. So here's your volume gap. It tends to fill these or go through them. So I was looking for that retrace. I'm like, we're going to go below this. So this was a pretty obvious short, but it was extremely tricky right here. So I actually missed out on this entire short, but I did play this drop. But regardless, my point here is that this is probably setting up for upside now. I'm already positioned long. I got in on these candles right here because I was looking for this target under 77, which I can show you. And I'm going to do that quick. So under 77, I'm looking to go long on oil under 77. So that's what we did. That's how we're positioned. And I just want to show you guys, the amount of money you can make with futures here. This is just from last week. If you're good, if you know how to trade, you know how to like manage your risk, there's some crazy money to be made. So join the Discord, that's in the description below. See it for yourself. So, and also that's just with natural gas and oil. I didn't show anything from Trading Spy or ES. So Oil, I'm looking for the upside. The big thing here, fundamental factors, is all these sanctions are happening with Russia right now. So, you can get past this part, but I do think it's kind of important if you want to understand what's happening here. So, um, Europe is putting these sanctions on oil. So, they're limiting. They just don't want oil to be able to, or Russia to sell any oil because they're trying to lower the revenue coming in so that it's harder for them to fund the Russian-Ukraine war. And then also they're putting a price cap on it, so Russia can retaliate because this makes it harder on Russia to make money, and they can retaliate by completely cutting off really all the resources from these European countries, especially natural gas. So if that happens, what is natural gas going to do? It is going to go parabolic. So it's a very tricky situation here because they're trying to limit all of these like oil things, and as a result, it can really, really, really backfire and spark an energy crisis. So this is something you really want to be able to understand and kind of keep up with, just so you can kind of understand what's happening in the other sectors of the market and not just SPY. So, nat gas, we shorted this at the channel trend line break here, and I closed it out here, and then I reshorted and I sold it at my first target, which was 6.6. I've just been watching it since, so this is an extended wave, I think. Really, really extended, but natural gas, I'm just looking or waiting. I think it might be coming to a bottom soon, but you don't want to catch a falling knife, so it's better to just wait and sit on your hands till you see some better signs. So natural gas, I'm just waiting. On to Apple. This thing, I was talking about this in my last video. Gaps. Apple gaps up and down all the time, and it loves to fill the gaps right away. So you filled these two gaps, which we can take these off now. And right here, this is an area of illiquidity. So like I just showed you on oil, that volume gap, there should be one right here. So this is on a pretty small time frame, so I mean, yeah, you can see it here. That's a volume gap. That's a huge volume gap. So, it might want to test this region of liquidity here. You got rejected from this trend line again. So, it's kind of a tight area here. You got a gap up here still. Maybe that wants to fill gaps up here, but they're not really relevant for the time being. So, the gaps to watch are the one under 140 and this one up at 160. So, you're really just waiting for a break for the major move. This trend line break here or this trend line here. It hasn't broken either of those yet. So, not too much to say. Just kind of trading in this range, and you can trade, trade those gaps, whichever way those gaps are. So, Tesla's been tricky. 195 has been, I guess 200, 195 has been an absolute diamond wall for a couple weeks now. So what you're getting here is a potential inverse head and shoulders. So, you get your shoulder, head, another shoulder, and your reverse. So it's something I'm looking for. I don't really think I have a bias here. We're going to take a look at the volume profile. So, huge volume gap, you went underneath it, but it somehow managed to find support at this point, and there's barely any congestion here, but, these Tesla bulls are kind of crazy. They'll buy anything, so that's what happened here. They bought off of this support and this really minor congestion, but if it gets below that, it should get down to 150, or even lower down to under 140, fill that gap. But for now, for the time being, if it creates this inverse head and shoulders, you could see some more upside, probably into the lower 200s. So we can also take a look at the RSI, the MACD. You have these divergences that have been forming for a while, even on the daily too. So it's tough to say if you want to break out, it can, but you need Tesla to hold, I would say, like probably 175, just because if you start getting way lower than this potential shoulder, it's not an inverse head and shoulders. So you really want to see it at least hold around 177, 178. So that's it for Tesla. Biotech. So, you know, this thing has been trading in a range for months actually, which is kind of crazy. So when this thing breaks out, it's gonna be quite the move here. So I am biased to the downside on biotech. The ETF to watch is XBI. Now I made an unfortunate move trying to short before from what meeting was that? The Fed meeting. Yeah, the Fed meeting, and so I prematurely went into a short position, and I had my stop losses, so that did save me from quite um, a large loss on biotech and semis, which I'm going to show you. But we're coming up to this inflection point. Not really an inflection point. We're going to move down soon. You'll see what I'm talking about. But I made the gamble that that meeting would give us downside. No, I knew the risk in that. I had my stop, so it unfortunately played out the way I wasn't hoping it would. So you're gonna see me talk a little about that in a couple minutes. So biotech, this thing cannot trade in a channel like this forever. This bottom side of the channel will break at some point, and biotech and semis move with the market pretty well. So we're just waiting on this market downturn. Um, and from cycle analysis, we're probably going to get that next major move in the beginning of 2023. So for now, you'll see what I'm talking about when I get to SPY. So the main thing I'm trying to say here is it cannot stay in this channel forever. And the inverse of this is lab D. So when this drops, this is going to go up. And this is going to happen at some point. It will happen. So keep your eyes on lab D. I'm looking for an entry soon. Make sure to join the Discord so you know when I do. And that's going to be the same for semis. So SOXX, we traded this all the way up. I actually never took a position, but I was following this closely the entire time. And now I'm looking for that reversal to come in. So SOXS would be the one that makes that major move to the upside. So this has been probably one of the most impressive supports I've ever seen on something. I mean, look for yourself. It won't break it, which is pretty impressive. So just from it doing this really kind of gives me the thought process that the market is going to turn down soon, because you can kind of use this in correlation with the general market to see when the market might turn down as a whole, if you can see some really clear signs on these ETFs. So because it's holding this, I do think it's very likely we're going to see somewhat of a move down on the market, which I'm going to talk about. So VIX, this thing looking at a reversal soon. It finally filled that final gap to the downside. Now we gapped up today, so I might want to fill that. So VIX, this thing is going to turn some point. It's going to turn up and have a major move to the upside, but it gapped up, so I might want to fill that, but it's not going to stay down here forever. So on to SPY. This is a major channel. So originally I thought this was a wedge, and I had it drawn out like this. I think it was drawn out. Was it drawn out like that? I think you know what I'm talking about. Regardless, it invalidated that wedge structure. So, however I had it drawn, it's been invalidated, and I think it's now a channel. So, the characteristics of, the aftermath or the effects of a channel in the wedge are similar, but it's better to know, whether it's a wedge or a channel, because if you know Elliott Wave, the structures of these developments are pretty different. So I'm not going to spend time explaining that, just explaining those things, but the point is here is same thing with XBI. You can't trade in a channel to the upside or the downside forever. It's just not how it works. It's not sustainable. It will not happen. So we are going to break down out of this at some point. We got a pretty harsh rejection off of that Meiji trend line. So this is the question everyone's asking. You know, you have people saying I'm going to short it like crazy at the trend line, which I accidentally was sleeping on the day we hit it. Or I slept in pretty late, so that was really unfortunate because I've been planning to short at 410 for a very long time. But the point here is I am looking to go short soon. So I want to make sure I get some of the more simple stuff out of the way, and then I can kind of explain what I want to see or what I'm expecting. So we're going to look at the 4 hour, which has some divergences. So these are pretty big divergences here, definitely significant. So on the RSI, you got it toning down and went under its moving average, but it's holding 50. You want to see this RSI break 50 here, that red line, midlines, and that's when the bears are going to start taking control on these higher time frames. So on the shorter time frames, it's kind of been oscillating with an upward drift, but now that's probably going to change soon. You can even see the moving average actually starting to come down a little. So it's definitely getting close to getting quite the move to the downside. So I would like to see a little bounce so I can short, but we'll see how it goes tomorrow. I think that opportunity is going to show itself tomorrow. So we'll see, but we have that gap above. So you zoom in a little closer, and you do have a gap to the upside. Now, we got that bounce towards the end of the day. I saw a lot of people saying we're going to 395, and I'm like, we're not going to 395 because you have to break a disgusting support. Like, you can't break this in one try. It's been intact since October, so it's not going to be that easy to break it, but that's not the way I want to say it, actually. It's more like this will be easy to break just because it is pretty steep and you've been bouncing on it. You're losing steam. You can't keep bouncing off of this. So at some point it's going to break through it, but I guess what I was meaning to say was that it's not something you're just going to break with the clean slice through. You need to kind of bounce off of it and then let me draw it. So you need to hit it and then kind of drift upwards and then you break through it. So that's what it's gonna look like when it does that. And I'm thinking it could maybe bounce up to this line, break through. It could come down, bounce up, fill this gap, bounce on this trend line, then break support. So honestly, right here looks like it has a lot of incentive to get to this point, just because this is probably the biggest trend line for this region here, as well as this support. So I think we're going to see this breakdown within a week or so. And what happens after the breakdown is really important to understand, because I don't think it's ready to just, start crashing. I do think we're going to make a new low, but I think there's going to be a process involved. So I want to take out my path tool. Let me find it. Give me a second. So what I'm looking for is, this is actually a structure I've been showing you for probably over a month, I think, ever since early November. I was looking for this massive ABC. So I was looking for a top, I think it was around here, potential top. Yeah, that's right. We were trading in a range, and I said we can still see 410. It's still in a range, but everything's pointing to downside. And so you come to 370, and then you go to 420, and then new lows. Now, because we've made a new high, that scenario kind of changes a little. So this scenario is still intact. Come down to 370, and then what would happen after this is quite the move here. Now, there's a couple things that can happen, but I'm going to show you this possibility. Yes, it's insane, but you could be moving up to 430. So, you got some gaps to fill right here. So, I'm not leaving this out of the picture. 430 is totally in the picture here. So, when you see the drop, do not expect new lows right away, because I don't think that's going to happen either. I was looking at some cycle analysis, and there is still a lot of bullish energy and momentum in the markets right now. So it has to fight. It's kind of fighting this upwards force. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. It's fighting an upwards force, and it's not just going to be a clean break to the downside. So it's going to be a process, and it is extremely slow and painful. I've gotten burned a couple of times trying to short. Just, it's being very stubborn, and there's a lot of bullish energy in the markets that is still currently there. So I don't really have too much else to say. To summarize it, I would like to see a bounce that I can short. So the low 400s is what I would really, really like to see, and I would expect it to come under 390 again before potentially moving up higher. And I think it's just going to be easier to say as it goes, but I'm looking for I'm looking for a move down before anything else major happens. Either if you want to go even lower or want to bounce higher, it does need to let a little steam off by cooling off and getting some relief. So that's where I'm going to leave this video. I hope you watched the whole thing through. If you did, make sure to share the video some love, give it a like and subscribe, join the Discord, and peace out, guys.